It lacks the sense of challenge and reward that Mission 100 brought to the table. Without those preset objectives, the experience feels empty. There's no real goal, no sense of accomplishment. Now, you might be thinking, isn't Mission 100 just like the custom battle mode in Sparking Zero?
No.
Kind of.
I don't think, no, it's not.
Moving on. No, I will elaborate on that.
Next video, which is how did it go wrong from Hidden? And yeah, so let's jump into it. Okay.
Hey, you wanted this, right? You wanted the real deal? That's what this is. Wake up, you're in the middle of it. You want to run, go ahead. No one's stopping you. Stop complaining.
Sometimes, no matter how much you want to love something, it just doesn't live up to your expectations. And for many, this is exactly what happened with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This is a feeling all too familiar when it comes to new game releases. The build up to launch is filled with excitement. Trailers, reveals, and endless speculation create a buzz that's hard to ignore. When the game finally drops, everyone seems to be on board, swept up in the collective excitement. The hype is contagious, and in that moment, it is easy to believe that you have found something truly special.
How is it?
Good.
It looks like you're enjoying yourself. Oh, yeah, that looks like you're enjoying.
But then, as time passes, the initial thrill begins to fade. The excitement cools, and flaws that once seemed minor now stand out more clearly. Maybe the roster isn't as good as you'd hoped, or certain mechanics feel less polished than they first appeared. What once felt like the greatest thing ever suddenly feels kind of meh. The honeymoon phase is over, and you're left wondering if your excitement clouded your judgment all along. Then the hate begins to roll in, and what was once praised as the greatest thing ever suddenly becomes the worst game imaginable. Such is the way of the internet.
Fuck you! This game sucks! It's not good!
You gotta love it. Opinions swing from one extreme to the other.
Yep, that's just how the internet works.
Lies somewhere in between. For me, Sparking Zero was an exciting release, but I never went into it expecting it to be the ultimate Dragon Ball experience. I wasn't looking for a game that would redefine the series or outshine every past entry. Instead, I hoped for a solid, modern take on the Budokai Tenkaichi series, a series I've enjoyed but never considered the definitive peak of Dragon Ball games like many others do. That's not to say that Budokai Tenkaichi doesn't deserve its praise. It's a fantastic series that captured the chaotic, high-speed battles that define Dragon Ball, and I genuinely believe Sparking Zero carries that spirit forward in a meaningful way. It's a great game, and I have no doubt it will hold a special place in the hearts of fans for years to come. But that doesn't mean it's perfect. I mean,
no game is. But I will say this, once again, I'm way more empathetic to the developers of this game because, once again, it is under the same company, under Spike, but it's completely brand new director, brand new team, basically brand new everything. It's built from the ground up. It's not using anything from the Tenkaichi series outside of maybe a visual, just visual gameplay, they implement stuff from actually what's in there, but the core of the game is not Tenkaichi. They built everything from the ground up, and so I'm way more empathetic to the developers in that sense, right? And yeah, I will say this, I definitely was going into Sparking Zero pretty much less so by the time the game got its release date, around that time, where I was like, this is gonna be like the definitive Dragon Ball game ever. Like by the time the release date came out and like we started getting like trailers and stuff for the characters, like I was hyped. But I was like, yeah, Fighters is probably still gonna be my favorite Dragon Ball game of all time. Fighters just clicks that itch for me. But yeah, a lot of people were saying like this was gonna change Dragon Ball gaming forever, and yeah.
It was perfect. There are issues, some small, some hard to ignore, that hold it back from being everything it could have been. Loving a game doesn't mean ignoring its flaws, and while Sparking Zero has plenty to celebrate, there are moments where it falls short of what I hoped for. One of the aspects of Sparking Zero that I was genuinely excited to get into was actually the online scene. Now, let me be clear, I am very much a single player kind of person. I love getting lost in story modes, challenging myself against AI, and just playing through the game at my own pace. The idea of hopping online and facing off against real players has always felt daunting. I've always been a bit too nervous, or let's be honest, too shy, to really throw myself into that world. In my mind, I just assume that no one wants anything to do with me and doesn't want to talk to me, and they'd rather me just fuck off. You know what I mean?
I mean, to be fair, there's really no communication in Sparking Zero. You pretty much just load in, play, and then get off, you know? So, you know.
Just me. But for Sparking Zero, I thought this might be my chance to break out of that comfort zone. With how excited I was for the game, I figured this was the perfect opportunity to connect with the community more, test my skills, and maybe even make some new friends along the way. That didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was something that prevented me from having friends when I was a little girl.
It must have been your personality.
I wasn't expecting to become a tournament level player or anything. I just wanted to have some fun and see how others were enjoying the game. Unfortunately, that never really happened. Not that the community was like toxic towards me or anything. The real issue, the online experience itself felt, well, repetitive and honestly kind of boring. Despite Sparking Zero's massive roster, it felt like I was constantly facing the same handful of characters over and over again. And I get it. Fighting games will always have a meta, and players will naturally gravitate towards the strongest characters. But I wasn't expecting it to be this extreme. It felt like if you weren't...
Okay, I'm gonna assume that she's never played a competitive fighting game, or just fighting, like, online fighting games in general, because I 100% expected this. I expected, like, the most broken character to run the entire meta of Sparking Zero. That's literally what I expected. I might be like, how should I say this? I might be like taking her out of context, maybe, or whatever, but, like, I don't know. This kind of format is exactly what I expected for Sparking Zero. Even back then, like when it got announced, I was like, yeah, it's probably gonna be UI Goku, Gogeta 4, the fucking Beast Gohans, the Vegeta Blues running online. To be fair, I wasn't expecting the Android meta to be that good, but once again, people will play the best shit if it gets them to win. So.
Aren't playing one of those top tier characters, you are just setting yourself up for a bad time. And hey, I am no stranger to losing. Believe me, I've eaten my fair share of dirt over the years. I'm used to the taste, kinda like. But there's a big difference between losing a fun back and forth match and getting steamrolled by the same character spamming the same moves on repeat. After a while, it kind of just felt like I wasn't really playing and I was just watching my character being counted into oblivion.
Yeah. yeah. It's, what I expected. People will use the best strats to win. Like I said, Tenkaichi 3 was not great because of its competitive integrity. People talk about, like, all these, like, hidden mechanics that they implemented over time. Like, I know key sickness is a thing that they implemented, but I don't even think that was a thing in the first two games, right? So, yeah, it took them a while to figure that part out. So, I don't know.
It's like the worst Dragon Ball Z episode ever.
How are we supposed to do this? Are we like, which way do you go?
Up and down, girl.
But I've seen people do it left or right.
That's not the right way.
Who said?
Jesus.
So yeah, I bailed on the online pretty quickly. And from what I've heard, I don't think my experience was all that uncommon. Maybe some
Yeah, I
of
don't
these
blame you.
issues have been addressed or will
They
be
have
fixed in
been.
the future. Probably. But honestly, I've kind of just lost interest in even
Yeah.
trying to jump back in.
First impressions is a really huge deal with gamers. Gamers won't come back to your game if their first experience with your product is bad, right? It doesn't matter if you change it later, even if you change it a day later. Like, let's just say like I was playing Sparking Zero and like the day like they nerfed like androids and did that huge balance patch, I just dropped the game and said fuck it, I'm not playing it. I'm not coming back to that game even if they said, oh yeah, I fixed it all, you can come back and play now. It's just like, it's over. You lost me. Now, to be fair, I don't think that's a good mindset because, like I said, the whole gaming space is just so reactionary, unempathetic, impatient, and just generally overall just a bad experience to be into. But there is some merit to their criticisms, right? So, like I said, first impressions are a big thing. I don't think it tells the whole story, but I understand when people have a bad first experience with a product and they're just like, I'm clocked out, I don't care anymore. Thank you everyone for making it this far into the video. Just gonna take a quick break to do some shoutouts. First, shoutouts to my friends' channels. Please consider checking them out as they provide a variety of content, so at least one of them will have something that you'll enjoy. Second, if you live near the York, PA area, please head down to Ready Up Gaming Lounge. It's a place where gamers from every genre can come together and play in a comfortable and chill environment. They are open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day and hold dedicated events every week. For my channel's interest, they run Fighting Fridays, where for $5.30, you can play a multitude of fighting games with various players. They have big games like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but they also have niche games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, Guilty Gear Strive, Rivals of Ether 2, and more. Finally, shout out to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You guys really make doing content fun and worth pursuing. Alright, back to the video.
I really wanted Sparking Zero's online to be my
Especially when they pay full price for this game, or just for their products in general.
gateway into something new. A chance
If it's like a free game, like Multiverses or like I don't know, like some other indie title, like that's completely free to play, like people are just more receptive to being patient and waiting things out to see if they actually make the changes that they're asking for. If you paid full price for a video game and it's a terrible experience, you're not going to play that game again because you feel like you wasted your money. So, you know.
to finally break away from my single player comfort zone, but instead I found myself retreating right back to where I started. And in some ways, I'm kind of okay with that, as one of the things I really enjoyed about Sparking Zero was its story mode. If you couldn't tell by the nearly 5-hour video I made on it. I truly need a life. Or some friends or something to get me out of
You
that.
had a 5-hour video on the story mode?
Diving into that aspect of the game, and it definitely kept me hooked for quite a while. But as much as I love the story mode, there's a big issue with the single player side of Sparking Zero that really starts to sink in after you've spent some time with the game. Simply put, there just aren't enough modes to sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
Especially when you compare it to something like Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Now, I'm not just talking about having a couple of extra modes thrown in there for variety. The key mode I feel is really missing, and one that would elevate Sparking Zero significantly, is something similar to the classic Mission 100.
Yep, Mission 100. Dude, literally, I made a video on like what they need to implement, and I think Mission 100 was like in my top 3, like things they should implement, like content-wise. Like Mission 100 is like, even if like you just like the only thing you get from it is like maybe some zenny and maybe like a costume or two, like that entices people to engage with your combat and engage with like different characters, because Mission 100 gives you like different achievements and stuff, or like restrictions, and like you have to use certain characters in like a particular order or whatnot, and I feel like Sparking Zero could have used Mission 100.
Tenkaichi 3. So why exactly do I think this mode is essential to a game like Sparking Zero? Well, it all comes down to the game's biggest draw. Its massive character roster. Arguably, it might be too massive for its own good.
Do you see that? Just in scale, where is that going? Not in here, okay? The average gal is gonna get about that much. Maybe this, if they're a pro, but the rest of that, completely unmanageable.
For those of you who are not familiar, Mission 100 in Tenkaichi 3 was a mode that featured 100 pre-made fights, each with unique restrictions like using only one character or constructing a team with a set DP limit. It was such a great mode because it allowed you to experiment with so many different characters without the pressure to play to a competitive meta. It wasn't about being the best, it was about having fun and discovering what characters work best for you. Before Sparking Zero came out, I spent 100 days straight playing Tenkaichi 3 to really get the hang of the game. And hands down, the mode I spent the most time with and enjoyed the most was Mission 100. It was a perfect mode for a quick session. I could hop in, construct a new team, try out some characters I hadn't spent much time with, and be rewarded for experimenting. And the best part, there was always a sense of progression, as you would hit milestones and unlock things along the way. Now try doing something similar in Sparking Zero. You can either jump online and hope you get some variety, though as I have already mentioned that is a bit hit and miss, and mostly a miss, or you can set up individual battles with the AI, but let's be real here, that's just not the same. It lacks the sense of challenge and reward that Mission 100 brought to the table. Without those preset objectives, the experience feels empty. There's no real goal, no sense of accomplishment. Now, you might be thinking, isn't Mission 100 just like the custom battle mode in Sparking Zero?
No.
Kind of.
I don't think, no, it's not.
Moving on. No, I will elaborate on that. The custom battle mode is close, but it's a bit bloated when you just want to hop in for a few quick fights. The setup process takes longer than it should, and while I really enjoyed the custom battles overall, I found myself wishing for more challenges within the mode. The foundation for it is there, so it makes me wonder why they didn't incorporate more of these preset missions, especially when they already have the system in place. Sure, there are user-made battles you can download, but these are often hit or miss, and as time goes on, I start wondering what's going to happen when Sparking Zero ages and the support for the game starts to dwindle. This is my big concern with any game that leans so heavily on the online components. Take Battle at Sea, for example. Without its online component, it's essentially a ghost of what it was. Now, I don't think Sparking Zero will ever suffer as drastically as Battle of Z, but I do wish they would have put more in the base game to ensure that there's substance to come back to down the line, instead of needing to craft your own custom battles, which, let's be honest, is a pretty tedious process. Having more built-in challenges would have gone a long way. And that brings me to another gripe that I had with Sparking Zero, which is kind of surprising because at first I kind of liked how the system worked, but then as I progressed in the game I realized that I didn't. And that system is how you unlock things within the game. At first, I was really on board with the idea of unlocking everything through Zenny. It seemed like a great system, giving you the choice to either play through the story or use the Zenny you've saved up to buy what you want. On paper, it sounds great. It's all about player choice. But as I spent more time with the game, I started to feel like there just weren't enough meaningful rewards for overcoming challenges. Let me explain. If I couldn't beat a certain fight to unlock the outfit I wanted, I could always just buy it with Zenny I'd accumulated. It didn't feel like an accomplishment. I realized that what I truly enjoy about unlocking things in a game is the challenge of earning them. Take Tenkaichi 3 for example. In the tournament mode, you have to beat the Cell Games, one of the hardest tournaments, on the hardest difficulty to unlock King Cold. And you know what? It felt amazing when I unlocked him, even though I don't even like that character. I didn't even really care about playing as King Cold. What mattered was the sense of achievement that came with finally completing the roster. In Sparking Zero, after unlocking all the characters and outfits, I found
there's literally
myself
nothing else
thinking,
to do.
Okay, cool. I have enough Zenny to buy
Everything.
And I don't want any of it. Is this what it's like to be a billionaire? Is that why they go all crazy and get into it? Okay, I'm not gonna.
Honestly, that is a really good point. I didn't think about that. Like the whole progression system in Sparking Zero. That's actually a really good point. I actually never thought about that. That's a really good point. Good on you.
Get demonetized if I keep carrying on. The process just didn't have the same satisfying punch. It's a system that lacks a sense of struggle and accomplishment that made unlockables in games like Tenkaichi 3 so rewarding. At the end of the day, the best rewards in the game aren't just about what you unlock, but how you unlock them. And while Sparking Zero gives you freedom in how you earn things, it misses out on the thrill of true accomplishment. And isn't that what Dragon Ball is all about? Overcoming challenges? Okay. Now, it wouldn't be a hidden video if I didn't take the opportunity to complain about DLC.
Because here we go.
Boy, oh boy.
Here we go.
I am not impressed. In fact, I would go as far to say that the first DLC pack is downright insulting to the player base. Let's be real for a second. This DLC is just 5 new characters with their respective transformations. Yet they try to dress it up as if it's something more. Just sell it for what it actually is. 5 characters. No fluff, no nonsense. Stop lying. And for
what do they lie
DLC
about?
pack that costs $18 bloody, and that's in USD, which is like 100 New Zealand dollars because our economy is so shit. Anyway, for that price, you'd think there'd be at least something to make it feel worth the price, but no. No additional content, no extra modes, no story integration, nothing. Just a handful of characters that, from everything I've seen and heard, aren't even all that exciting to play as. Thankfully, I had the sense not to buy the DLC, or even worse, pre-order the season pass without even knowing what's in it. But I've read the reviews, I've seen the reactions, and by the looks of it, it's a complete rip-off. And here I was a year ago, making a whole video complaining about Xenoverse 1's GT DLC, when in hindsight that was a downright steal compared to this mess. I will never understand the mentality of these companies that continuously overcharge for the bare minimum content while targeting their most loyal fans. These are the people you should be treating with the utmost care, going out of your way to provide them value, quality and respect. But Bandai Namco? Nope. Instead it's just a big old screw you and give us your money. It's like, fuck off. Are the rest of the DLCs going to be like this? Are they going to be adding any more meaningful content? Just a bunch of overpriced characters. Who knows? I have no real hope for the upcoming DLCs. It's so frustrating because it just feels like it's just getting worse and they're just like ringing people for all they can. And it's just like, fuck, it's frustrating just talking about it. And sorry guys, I think this video is over. I'm sorry. I'm just like getting angry.
Let's do a little bit of a tangent. So that last part, I don't know what she meant by it was a lie. They didn't lie about anything. They literally showed you on screen what you were getting. And like, to be fair, the only thing they didn't show was the price, which most companies don't do that anyway. So I don't think it's like out of the ordinary for them not to show the price. It is overpriced. $18 for technically 11 characters is kind of wild for a Tenkaichi game, considering the fact that a lot of the characters play exactly the exact same, with like maybe like a couple of cutscene supers here and there. So like, I don't know. I don't see that as a lie. I just see that as overpricing. That point still stands, but them making it seem like it's a lot more valuable than what it actually is, like, I don't get that point from her. That's probably the only thing I disagree with in this entire video, is the fact that like this Sparking Zero Bandai Namco team like was like alluding to like, oh, this DLC is worth way more than what it was actually is. Like, no, they told you what was in there. Like, literally verbatim, they told you everything was gonna be in there. So I don't know. No. That's like the only thing I disagree with in this entire video. Overall, it's a really good time. I'll put this video in chat.